The Man Who Would Be Emperor, The Adventures of Blake. The birth of Blake Alexander was celebrated in a small way at a party at a local restaurant. All he did there was cry. His Australian magician mother Laura doted over him. His American-born magician father was the crown prince and heir to two empires, his mother's empire the Zodiac Empire, the Earth's solar system, and the Celestial Empire consisting of the entire galaxy. Valentine Blake's father was the crown prince of the Earth Kingdom. "Can't you make him quiet?" moaned his grandfather, who was getting a headache because his grandson was screaming his lungs out. "He has had an earache most of the day," said Blake's father apologetically to the king of the earth, his father. "He's not the only one with an earache," Fred moaned. "He's a baby, they cry when they are hurting," said Hesperus, the empress. "Can't someone help him?" asked Fred. "We took him to the doctor," said Laura, trying to feed her son mashed bananas. The grandfather stood up and walked over to his grandson. He picked him up and looked him in the eyes. "Oh, is that the problem, boy?" said Fred. He picked up a pink toy koala from Blake's stroller. Blake reached out and went quiet, smiling as he hugged his teddy. Everyone else looked at them puzzled. "How did you do that?" asked Laura. "He just wanted his teddy, I asked him what was wrong," said Fred, enjoying the silence and the hug of the baby. "You can talk to him?" asked Val. "He is very talkative," said Fred. Fred was given the name the Baby Whisperer. Fred became Blake's favorite person. When Blake was 16, his grandmother was killed by the hand of an assassin who wanted to kill his grandfather. His grandfather was injured but survived. His father became the Zodiac Emperor. His grandfather and great-uncles the King of Time and the King of Mars set up an arranged marriage with Blake and his distant cousin the King of Time's granddaughter Angela when he turned 21. Neither Blake nor his wife were happy with the match, they were incompatible. When Blake was 25, when he stopped aging as his people did at that age, a strange thing happened. Two children appeared out of time. They were Blake and Angela's eldest children, they were twins. A male Lance and a female Kira. Blake saw them as lunatics. They were assassins he later found for fate. He and Angela tried to not have children because of them. Then one day Angela found she was pregnant. When they tried their utmost not to have children, she found she was pregnant with twins. 9 months later, the twins were born. Val, who had died many times around that time and had been brought back to life so many times before by Blake, who was a powerful necromancer, Val was discovered to be a dead man, as he was found to be a soulless zombie. So Blake became the Zodiac Emperor as his father who appeared alive was dead. A few years later, the twins tricked some of their family and friends to join them in a wormhole. It trapped them all in the distant past on the Earth. Not being human, they did not age or die. Blake became King Arthur's magician Merlin, Lance was Sir Lancelot. Angela became the Lady of the Lake. As they lived throughout time in the witch hunts, they saw one of their people the magicians die. Onward they lived and Angela and Blake were blessed with another son Tempest the Timekeeper, in the French Revolution when Blake was cursed with being a Grim Reaper by Fate Argent Lumiere for an action he could not avoid. For killing someone who was going to kill his wife. Fate relented on the curse he couldn't break, so he made the dashing heroic young Emperor King of the Grim Reapers as an apology. Blake knew he died to become a Grim Reaper and came back to life again. Not wanting to worry anyone, he hid the truth about his being a semi-dead man like his father. Which he did till the start of the next millennium. When his daughter and her husband were murdered, leaving a child that her uncle Lance raised as his own with his children. 20 years later, Angela was also murdered, and a sad fate noticed how badly her husband took it, so he had her reincarnated as a fate like him. Fate played Cupid, and the lovers married again in this life. Blake in the daylight was a coroner, a famous stage magician, and a superhero. In the dark side of his life he was the administrator of the afterlife and judge of the dead. His life and death were very busy. He once was so drunk, that his Reaper form lost his body, and at his funeral, Blake's soul, the Reaper, sang dirges over his body at the funeral and took his body back. People thought he was a body snatcher. He was not. He'd had experiences with them, His son-in-law Kira's husband had stolen his body once. Blake got his body back. Later, Blake was caught dead by a reporter who saw his picture in the afterlife as a publicity interview from the afterlife. Honestly, Blake didn't agree with doing it. His boss Fate Argent was behind the mess. He was treated differently after he came out as the Dead Reaper King. He was deposed. Not long later, Blake was accused of murder, and he disappeared with amnesia in the past where he was left to live a better life than he did, only appearing to clear his name when he remembered who he was and his love for his wife. He had been sent over 100 years to the past to the 19th century and became Fred, his grandfather, the Celestial Emperor. After that, Blake and Angela kept close together in secret, knowing their love was stronger than time and death. Both had beaten death and time to stay together.